Hey, friend, welcome to the Less Stress, More Joy podcast with Amy Leneker. It's me, Amy, and I am so glad that you're here. If you have ever woken up on a Monday already exhausted or spent Sunday night bracing yourself for the week ahead, the problem isn't you. The problem is work. And more specifically, the problem is stress. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about something that gets in the way of joy, something that causes a lot of stress, and that is comparison. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's get started. I've been thinking a lot about comparison recently and rejection because, as many of you know, I just launched my first book, Cheers to Monday, out into the world. And writing a book is full of rejection. I had no idea how much rejection I was setting myself up for in the process of writing a book. And even once the book was out into the world, there is so much rejection from editors and podcasts and broadcasters. And there's one that really stung this week, and that's the one that I want to talk about. Because what it did for me is it allowed me to think about comparison and to think about rejection in a slightly different way. And that's what I want to share with you. So, I was rejected again by the Harvard Business Review. And some of you might be listening to this and thinking, okay, yeah, who cares? Well, I care. I care. It is a goal of mine. It is something I really want to do. And I have done a national research study on the intersection of stress and joy at work. And I thought this is going to be the pitch that gets through. So I pitched the article like I've pitched the half a dozen articles before it. But this time, something different happened. So instead of just getting the quick email, thank you, but no thank you, I got an email asking follow-up questions. And there were a lot of really thoughtful questions. And seeing these questions felt like a term paper where it's the end of the semester. You've got to write a term paper. It's going to be 80% of your grade. That's the kind of pressure that I was feeling with these responses. So I put my responses together and I send it off thinking that, wow, this might really be happening because I hadn't made it yet to that stage of actually getting the response for more information. Well, lo and behold, a few days later, I get the same, um, not at this time, keep trying, blah, 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 rejection. And so, what I've noticed for me, anytime I am feeling rejection, or if I catch myself comparing myself to someone else, both of those things leave me feeling like absolute crap. It's why there's that saying, comparison is the thief of joy, because it's really hard to hold both of those things at one time. To be truly joyful if you're stuck in a place of comparing yourself to someone else. And what I've been trying out, and it's been working for me, and it actually worked with this Harvard rejection, is a two-step process. So when I catch myself in that rejection spot, I catch myself in that place of comparing myself to someone else, and now I'm starting to feel like crap. I've been doing two things. So the first one is I've been starting with compassion for myself. And this is grounded in all of the work of Dr. Kristen Neff, who's done amazing research and studies around self-compassion and the importance of treating ourselves and talking to ourselves the way that we would treat and talk to someone else that we love. And it might sound a little corny. It might sound like, am I really having to do this? Well, no, you don't have to. But what we do know is that life feels so much better when we are compassionate to ourselves. And if you're interested, Dr. Kristen Neff, you can just Google her. She has an incredible assessment. It's for free, it's out in the public domain, and it assesses how self compassionate are you. And one of the things I love about Dr. Neff's assessment is that she doesn't just give you a score and then send you on your way. She gives you a score, your self compassion score, but then she gives you ideas and strategies and tools that you can try. In Dare to Lead, Brene Brown writes about the importance of self compassion. And it's part of the Dare to Lead curriculum that I facilitate when I'm facilitating Dare to Lead workshops. And after a Dare to Lead workshop is over, I send an email at the 60-day mark. And when I check in with folks at 60 days, because of course I just want to know how they're doing. How are you doing implementing all of those skills that you've learned? I also always resend the link to Dr. Neff's assessment. 60 days is a great time to pause and say, how am I doing? Am I moving the needle? If your score was high in self-compassion, 60 days later, is it still high? Or if it was low, 60 days later, have you been able to increase it? What I find in working with leaders and teams is that even if you don't retake the assessment, you already know what the assessment is going to say. When you are living with more self compassion, you feel it. It just feels differently how you move through the world. The same way that when you feel compassion from other people, it feels differently. It changes how you move through the world. So, all of that to say, when I am catching myself feeling rejected, I'm catching myself in a place of comparison. The first thing I've been trying is that moment of self compassion. Then, once I've done that, and it doesn't take a lot of time, this can take 10 seconds, it can take 10 minutes, but it doesn't have to take a lot of time. And so once I've done that, then I go on to step two, which is to congratulate the person or the people who are doing the thing that I've been trying to do. And what I've found is it is so important for me to do the compassion piece first. Because if I don't take that moment to say, God, Leneker, yeah, this stings. This is your seventh time of trying to get an article in Harvard Business Review. Yes, this stings. Keep going. If I don't take the time to do that part first and I just jump into congratulating someone else, it doesn't always come from a place of 100% genuine congratulations. Sometimes there's still that little sting to it, that really painful but wildly human thing that we can do that says, well, why them and not me? Why their article and not my article? That is not congratulations. That is not the kind of appreciation and celebration that we want to give to other people. And it is certainly not the kind that we want to give to ourselves. So I tried it out today. When I got the sting from Harvard, I did the moment of self-compassion, and then I celebrated the crap out of a few authors who have made it into Harvard Business Review recently. And I tagged them on LinkedIn and I said, I am celebrating you, keep doing it. And I got one of the kindest messages back from Bob Sutton, if you're familiar with Bob's work out of Stanford. And his comment back was so kind that basically said he has been rejected more times than he can count. And he went on to list some of the places where his work has been featured. And it has been featured in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. And you name it, his work has been featured in it. And so even that moment of taking time to say, look, you're not behind. You're putting yourself out there. And that in and of itself is something to be celebrated. I wanted to share this two-step technique in case it helps you too. Those of you who know my background, you know that I am not a mental health expert. I have a graduate degree in public administration. So this is in no way intended to be therapeutic advice, mental health advice, none of that. But I'm sharing it because I have found that it's really helping me, and I wonder if it might help other people too. There are ways that we can go through the world and minimize our chances of being rejected. I could simply never submit another article again, and my chances of being rejected would be zero. But it also means if we're holding back from the likelihood of being rejected, we're also holding back from the likelihood of achieving that thing that we're trying to achieve. And that balance of saying, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if they're going to want this article or this story or this whatever it is, fill in the blank of whatever it is you're trying to do. That's the unknown, scary, brave space that we find ourselves in. And if we're not careful, that can increase our stress. We talk a lot on this podcast about stress and joy, which makes sense considering the title of this podcast is literally less stress and more joy. And when you are stuck in rejection and you're not processing it, you're not moving forward, you're not celebrating the fact that you put yourself out there, and that's incredible, then our stress goes up. And if you are doom scrolling on Instagram and looking at other people's what appears to be perfectly curated lives, that can make our stress go up. And the goal is not to have our stress continue to increase. Our goal is to keep our stress in a place where it's the positive kind of stress. We've talked about positive stress is eustress. It's the kind that helps you achieve a goal. It helps you do something you're trying to do. Distress, on the other hand, is the opposite. Distress prevents you from doing what you're trying to do. It's actually making it harder for you. And if we can, even in times of rejection and even in times of comparison, to be able to stay in the positive kind of stress, we're going to be better for it. Our health is going to be better. The people around us are going to benefit, and we ourselves are going to benefit. I don't know if there is something out there in your life right now where you are holding back because of the fear of rejection. My guess is there might be, because you are human. And as humans, I don't know any of us who want to feel that way. I've never met anyone who wakes up and says, oh gosh, today is the day I hope I get rejected. No, not at all. We don't want that. And so it makes all the sense in the world that we try to shelter ourselves from that or to protect ourselves from that in some way. But even that protection comes at a cost. That protection against rejection comes at a cost of not knowing, well, what if I had tried? What if I had applied for that job? What if I had put my name into the ring? What if I had done that thing that ultimately I didn't do? What would have happened? And even though we don't feel the rejection, now you're left with this sense of not knowing. And it can almost feel as if it's a regret that you made. You can regret that you never tried. I I don't love that I was rejected a seventh time. And I say seven, I think it's been seven. I'd have to go back and count, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure this was my seventh pitch, because when they sent the email back with all the questions, I thought, okay, seven really is lucky. Um, but I don't know for sure, but I do think it's been seven times. Anyway, those those seven rejections have been different each time. And each one of them was a chance to say, is this going to be the one that actually works? Or is this going to be the job interview that I don't get? Or is this going to be the stretch assignment that someone else gets? And so all of that, as we wrap up, because I promised that this episode would be a short one, just at 15 minutes, and we're just slightly over. So I want to leave you with this. If there is a place in your life where you are feeling rejected, if there's a place in your life where you find yourself comparing yourself to someone else, try out this two-step method and see if it works. First, you're going to offer yourself some compassion. And then secondly, from that place, from that true, authentic place, then you're going to offer congratulations to the person who did the thing that you've been trying to do. Try it out. Let me know how it works, because I would be really eager to hear if it works for you too. As we wrap up, I want to say thank you so much for listening today. If you loved this episode, please hit follow, share it with a friend, leave a quick review. It helps more people find their way to less stress and more joy. My first book, Cheers to Monday, it is now out in the world. It is a USA Today and Publisher Weekly bestseller, which is wildly exciting. So thank you to every single one of you who has read the book and reviewed the book and shared it with your friends and family. It means more to me than I can say. If anything today sparked a question, you know where to reach me. Send me an email at amy@amyleneker.com. I read every message and I would love to hear from you. See you next week. Less stress, more joy, zero toxic positivity. That's the Joyful Rebellion.